Whoa! What is that? Do you know what that is? It's called a skeleton. A skeleton. Look at all these bones. Do you know the names of the bones in English? Well, in this lesson, I'm going to teach you. Now, there's two kinds of names. There's scientific names, which very few people know, and then there's common names, which everyone knows for the common bones in our body. Okay, so in this lesson, I'm going to teach you about the common names. Okay, so the first bone is the skull. The skull. That's probably the most important bone in our body because it protects our brain. Okay, the skull. Next is the jawbone. Okay, below the skull is the jawbone. Okay, this part of your face is called your jaw. Your jaw, and the bone is called the jawbone. Ooh, now here's another very important bone. It's called the spine or backbone. Okay, now the spine is made up of 33 vertebrae. Each of those small bones is called a vertebra. Okay, and I think you have 33 of them. Okay, now these bones here are your ribs. Your ribs. And the whole piece is your rib cage. Your rib cage. It protects your heart, your lungs, all your other important organs. Ooh, and now on the top of the rib cage, you have your collarbones. You have two collarbones right here, these things here. The reason they're called the collarbones is because this is your collar. Your collar, okay? Now actually, the scientific name for these bones is the clavicle, but like I said, most people don't know the scientific name, so they just use the common names, and it's called the collarbone. Now on the back of your rib cage, sort of on the back of your shoulder, you have the shoulder blade. See here, you can see this person's shoulder blade. Okay, it's a very big bone in your shoulder. Now this front bone here, that sort of connects the ribs, that's called your sternum. Your sternum. Okay, now we have a very funny word in English called the funny bone. The funny bone. It's not a real bone, but it's an area in your elbow that gets a very funny feeling when you hit it against something. You know, sometimes if you're not being careful and you hit your funny bone, you get that really funny feeling in your elbow. That's called your funny bone. So you would say, I hit my funny bone. I hit my funny bone. Okay, but actually it's just your elbow. Okay, so this is called a joint, right? Your elbow is a joint. A joint is when two bones are connected to each other. Okay, so your wrist is also a joint. Okay, sometimes my wrist cracks when I go like this. Can you hear it? No, now it's not doing it. But sometimes my wrists make a cracking noise. Okay, your shoulder is also a joint. Your shoulder joint. Okay, you also have a hip joint, a knee. Your knee is a joint, and your ankle is also a joint. Okay, now let's take a look at these bones here. The front of your knee, you know that little hard bone on the front of your knee? That's called the kneecap. The kneecap. And this hard bone on the lower leg is called the shin bone. That would hurt really bad if you broke your shin. Wow. Okay, this big bone here is called the pelvis. The pelvis. Now these things on the side of the pelvis are your hip bones. Your hip bones. You can probably feel your hip bones on the sides of your waist. Now, the very bottom of the spine is called the tailbone. The tailbone. It's like you have a small tail, right? Like an animal. Okay, so there's two more words I want to teach you. Ligament and tendon. Now, these things are the tissue that connect things in your body. Okay, ligaments connect bone to bone, and tendons connect muscle to bone. Okay, there's a bit of a difference. So when we damage a tendon or a ligament, we use the verb pull. Pull. I pulled a tendon, or I pulled a ligament. Now, if you pull a tendon, that's called a strain. A strain. If you pull a ligament, that's called a sprain. A sprain. Okay, so you could say, I sprained my ankle. I sprained my ankle, because your ankle is a bone to bone, right? So we use the verb sprain. Or you could say, I rolled my ankle. Right? Usually when you sprain your ankle, you're running and you roll your ankle, and it really hurts. Okay, so I want to know, have you ever broken a bone in your body? I have, but only one. I only broke one bone a few years ago. I broke my little toe, my pinky toe, playing soccer. I kicked a fence, and my toe broke into two pieces. On the x-ray, I went to the doctor and they took an x-ray, and you could see my little toe, it was broken into two pieces. So that was sort of funny. But anyway, let me know your answer down there in the comments, and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.